right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Music First special topic webinar. Tonight, we are thrilled to have one of our ambassadors, Jeremy Little, with us to talk about how he uses Sight Reading Factory software with his choral ensembles. Jeremy is a high school choral director at Vernon Hills High School in Illinois, and he is a much sought after clinician, both in Illinois and across the country. Jeremy, thank you so much for taking the time to be in with us tonight. We are live streaming tonight's webinar on YouTube, Facebook Live, and on LinkedIn. And Jeremy will be taking your questions and answering them throughout the webinar. So don't be shy. Go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. I and my colleague Tori will be moderating the questions in the chat, and at the conclusion of the event, a recording will remain up on the MusicFirst YouTube channel. You'll also be able to find a link to the resources that Jeremy mentions in the webinar in the video description. Feel free to share the link with your colleagues and anybody else you think you might be interested. And Jeremy, welcome. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Rachel, and thank you, Tori, for thank you very much for allowing me to do this. So everybody, let's kind of get right to it. If you're here or you're watching this, you're a teacher, you don't have a lot of time. And so we're going to get right through it. So who am I for 5 seconds? I'm a dad. I'm a bad golfer. I'm a teacher. Love national parks. I've been teaching for 21 years, 17 at Vernon Hills High School and 4 at Milwaukee Lutheran High School. I lead the comprehensive musicianship through performance team in Illinois. Currently, I teach 3 sections of choir and 1 section of inclusive fine arts, which is special ed class. My tech background, as you can see, wasn't hugely strong, and then COVID hit, and then it got strong real fast. My teaching philosophy is that everything that I do in my class is driven by outcomes first. So what are my teaching outcomes? And then I'll create strategies and assessments that drive towards those outcomes. But I do have something where I teach my students, and I exhibit this in my class. We fail forward fast. So if something isn't working, we don't dismiss it right away. We get into it and we try again, and we kind of come at it in a different way. And that's actually how I became really familiar with Sight Reading Factory and MusicFirst Classroom. And so my job here tonight is to show you a little bit about what I do in my classroom. Hopefully this can generate some ideas for your classroom. Throughout the time, if you have questions, please put them in the chat, and Rachel and Tori will highlight them, and we will try to get them answered. So this is a quote that I have in my kind of choral handbook. And that's what we do. It is a habit, and this is completely true of sight reading. So let's kind of get into it. I used to be a big teacher of sight reading, but I used to do it all paper and pencil with 3-ring binder. And then I had a portfolio, still kind of have a small portfolio, tons of like kind of paper worksheets and stuff like that in there. But then MusicFirst came along. Thank you. Because it is so nice. It is everything that I need in one kind of setting. And obviously Sight Reading Factory is one of those options, right? There's some benefits that kids can access them on their this material and stuff on their phone, anywhere. There's no excuses when they're absent. There's no excuses if they get pulled out. So I love this stuff. Grading and feedback can go directly to kids through both of those classrooms, and it can be done anywhere. I used to have to grade sight reading and my like singing assessments that I used to do with individual digital voice recorders and lugging around scores and stuff like that. Now it's all in MusicFirst Classroom. Gotta love it. And you can tailor a lot of this stuff to your individual level or to individual students. You can reassign stuff for mastery, or you can encourage other students to like work ahead. So this is infinitely customizable. And as an educator, I have found that I can teach differently to different classes, different levels, different years. Sometimes my beginning like treble choir students, like this year, honestly, it's a little rough. We're kind of not progressing as fast. So if I would have had paper and pencil stuff, it's like, wow, that level would have been way too high. But in MusicFirst, one click of a button with Sight Reading Factory, and now I can adjust the level to immediately where they're at. That is a huge benefit. Okay, so let's kind of get on to stuff. with Sight Reading Factory, there's three kind of modes or ways that I really kind of deal with this. Number one, I teach high school, but I do not assume that my students, when they come in, are capable music readers. Some of them are, but many of them are just trying this out for the first time. I want to welcome all folks into my classroom as much as possible. So I kind of start at square one, and that's where rhythm only sight reading is a beautiful thing. You can teach syllables or numbers, whatever you do, and you get tons of reps doing that. I do it as part of warm-ups. I do it as a full class. We can do the sopranos doing this while the altos are listening. We can do, when it says in the screen 1 2 1 2, that's if kids are sitting in rows, you number off 1 2 1 2, and then half the class, the ones do it or the twos do it. So I'll give you a lot of kind of like strategies to which how I use Sight Reading Factory given in there in a second. And I'll tell you more about strategies for successful sight reading when we kind of pull to it. By the way, this Google slide will be available in the public chat somewhere, or somehow this Google slide, if you're watching this, will be available. So and every link that is in here, video kind of stuff, will be available to you. So you don't have to like quick write it down or whatever. So in my classroom, I will use Sight Reading Factory for daily sight reading, but I'll also use it for assessment, and I'll show you both ways as we kind of go through that. As we're doing this, let's go to the next slide for a second, so that here's my individual sight reading kind of procedure that I've kind of developed, and feel free to steal this. This is a growth mindset thing. So we talk about getting comfortable being awkward, that your skills are not fixed, and you're gonna suck a lot, and you just gotta fail forward fast. So all the stuff that I use with Sight Reading Factory is set up within that context. Fail forward fast, and tons of reps. And that's where Sight Reading Factory really excels, because there are infinite number of repetitions at the exact same level. When you think about it, whether you're hitting a golf ball, whether you're doing advanced chemistry, anything, you need tons of reps at one skill level before you can move on. And this is what it's perfect for. So we'll show you in a second. I also do like the TTT thing, time signature, tonic, tempo. I teach kids what that is, and every time when we're working, especially with pitch, that's what we go to. Okay, so let's get in and start with a Sight Reading Factory thing. So let me see if I can share with you how we start. Okay, so we are looking at a basic Sight Reading Factory starting page, right? So here's the awesome thing about this. The first one we're going to go rhythm only. So we can start practicing. We can start doing rhythm only here. What's so amazing is Sight Reading Factory has these amazing built-in levels. You can see level 1, that's what it is. Level 2, level 3. Now, if you don't like these levels, super awesome sauce, you can create your own. And I have actually done that. VHHS has the dotted quarter eighth with limited, you can see limited rests right there. So I've created my own level that I kind of like work up to. But for now, let's just say we're going to do this. Notice that there are dynamics in this level too. So level 1 does not have dynamics, level 2 does, right? So we're going to do rhythm only. I can select any time signature that I want. Super awesome. We'll go with the basic common time 4/4. And I'll tell you about these modes in a little bit. But here you go, you free play. Now, you've got this basic rhythm stuff. Okay, I will ask my students, first, how do we count this? I might write some of the counting on the board, or quite honestly, I would just say, like, remember, this one gets 3, this one gets 1, each one of these get a half. Let's go. I used to be a huge proponent of writing and counting, like huge proponent. And then I realized a lot of my classroom time was spent actually writing in the counting and not practicing the rhythm itself. Have you ever had that where you spend so much time writing in the solfege that you forget to actually do the thing, or you spend so much time writing in the counting that you only get one try at it. I would much rather have my students know that the first note is a dotted half and it gets 3 and the next quarter gets 1, but not have to take the time to write 1-2-3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, rest, or whatever. I would much rather they know that in their head, and then they get 20 attempts at this one and the next one and the next one, rather than spending all the time writing it in. And I have felt that Sight Reading Factory has helped my students with that, because I've actually had more repetition in this. So let's do a couple other things. Obviously, we could go with whatever tempo we want to go with. We can, wow, that's super slow. Let's go with something like faster. You can adjust the tempo, which is awesome. And this will be kind of like later on. We'll kind of give you some more of that when we get into that. But there's let's say we practice this. Okay, everybody, let's pick a pitch. We can do it clapping. We can do whatever. Awesome sauce. Next, here's the next one at the same level. Next, here's the same one at the same level. And you see how we can go at this. Notice, by the way, that right now the dynamics are really basic. Look at this. I love Sight Reading Factory. This is super intuitive. Look at this line. We can sing the whole one on a neutral syllable. Let's say we sing it at do, 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 but you can go and say, hey guys, that was awesome. Your rhythms were perfect. How are your dynamics? And you get another rep for them, because they're like, I didn't even know there was dynamics there. Oh, where do they change? What does that mean? What does that mean? Another beautiful and simple way, but they're not like crazy dynamics, because we're only at level 2. So it's just piano forte. How awesome is that? So like Sight Reading Factory knows, and it's intuitive. When we're just doing rhythm level 2, we're not doing, crazy dynamics, which is awesome.
We've got a great question in the chat.
Lovely. Let's go back here. Here we go. What's the question?
Yeah. So this is from Aaron, when you individually assess students, do you have them create goals for themselves? Like by the end of the semester, I want them to be reading at a level 3 or something like that.
I do not, because my district does not have like those types of things as part of a student kind of portfolio. Like I know that there's a lot of things like, a lot of districts like have like I can statements. If your district has stuff like that, like I can do this or I can do that, and that is a big part of how you are assessed, this would be perfect to be able to do. And Aaron, that's a brilliant, thing to kind of start. By the end of, the semester, I will be able to sing at, level 3 for Sight Reading Factory, right? And that's something that if that is a big thing, I would say that would be perfect. I just don't, because that's not something that I'm kind of required to do, and I've got a lot of other fish to fry. So, but I do have kids like I was talking about, Phil Forward Fast. It's like, there's also, I was actually thinking about something else. There's a difference between group sight singing and individual sight singing, right? So like what I'm just demonstrating here, not only can we do it in class, but then I could assign these as tasks in MusicFirst Classroom and have kids sing these back to me for assessment. And I'll kind of show you a little bit about that later. I usually don't assign rhythm-only tasks for assessment right away, because I want to do pitch and rhythm. And I have high school freshmen, so I usually do this for like through 2 or 3 weeks as we're kind of getting going. And then I'll kind of do simple pitch along with simple rhythm, and that's where I'll start assessing that. So I usually only don't do rhythm on that. Let me see if Rachel and Tori, can you just confirm that you are still seeing the Sight Reading Factory screen?
Yes, we can still see it.
Lovely. Okay, so I am going to stop this for a quick second, and I want to go back to my presentation. Rachel, could you thank you, Rachel. Maybe I'm going to come back to this later. I'm going to come back to that slide later. I'll go back to that. But no. Keep it up. I just wanted to go to the second one. Yeah, thank you. So this was rhythm only. You got to use a system, and like I said, you can mix it up with birthdays. You can do every other measure. I don't know. maybe, hopefully these are helpful teaching tips, but like, look at the little thing that I have on the screen where it's like measure 1 has the 4 quarter notes, measure 2 there. You could say, you know, row 1, you're going to do measure 1. Row 2, you're going to do measure 2. Row 3, you're going to do measure 3. Row 1, you're going to do measure 4, and we're going to go back and forth. Or every other kid, or, you know, pick a friend, and you and your friend are going to do measure 1, and you and these other kids are going to do measure 2, and you could, you know, and then if you just pick a million different ways to divide kids, then you can click next and next and next and just keep repping this. And that's the beauty of Sight Reading Factory, that if everybody's looking at a big screen, you can just do it endlessly and get a ton of reps for that. So that's rhythm only. That's what I do there. Let's talk about individual sight reading with pitch now. So I'm going to go back to here. And we're going to go back and let's do some pitch stuff now. So there's 2 ways we can do it. I start off by doing everybody unison. So I just pick like, hey, sopranos, we're going to do level 1 right now. Let's do a different time signature just to mix it up. And let's say everybody's in C. Cool. So again, I'll show you these modes later of challenge, especially live. That's kind of fun. I'll have some video of that a little bit later on, but now we are this. Okay, cool. So stepwise motion, no dynamics. Now, here's where this gear icon in the upper right kind of plays in. I love this. First of all, you can do as many measures as you'd like. So if you don't have a ton of time and you only want to do 4 measures, awesome sauce. If you have a lot and it's like, hey, we're sight reading today, kids, let's do 16 measures. Who doesn't want to do 16 measures of sight reading? The other thing I love is this, use annotations. And I want to do movable dough. If you want to do pitch names or scale degrees, if you want to, talk about it. But let's say we want to do movable dough. Okay. Oh, I don't want 16 measures of movable dough. Let's do 8 measures of movable dough. Cool. Again, at the same level. So just like writing and the counting, I have gone to a system where my students get so many more reps with the solfege given to them right then. Later on in the semester, I will take the solfege out, and we will do that, but not until we've done a ton of reps with the solfege on. And I don't have to spend any time having them write it. And then the fast kids are done really, quickly. And then the slower kids are just taking up a lot of class time, and everybody's kind of sitting, twiddling their thumbs. Sight Reading Factory gives it to us right here. And then we can all use our class time efficiently to practice. Okay, so Sight Reading Factory, I can either play the piano or I can say, here's our dough, right? Everybody sing your dough. And I'm teaching them how to practice. I can say, everybody, here's the tempo, right? To prepare them, this is how you do it on your own. So I'm teaching them in front of class how to kind of do that on their own. And then we would sing this one. Okay, one of the nice things with this is you can adjust the level instantly. Wow, that was really good, you guys. You split up the class, and you can have only sopranos do measure 1 and only altos do measure 2, and then you alternate or toggle between them. So you can see how quickly we can get through a lot of these. My classes are 45 minutes once a day, but I usually spend 7 to 8 minutes a day on this. So it's not a ton. So it's really cool to be able to have this ready to go. And then I can say, awesome, sopranos and altos, you guys have graduated to level 2, and instantly now we can make it harder with simple dynamics and simple skips. Okay, so that is the cool thing about level individual sight reading. We're going to go back. Yep, thank you very much. You read my mind. We can also do ensemble sight reading, right? So before I get to showing you this, check out, again, please feel free. Questions are welcome. Or if there's any questions, Rachel, just tell me to shut up and we'll answer the question. Tips from my experience on ensemble stuff. It's hard to do this when your kids are mixed formation. So usually I have kids sit in block seating as we do this, or maybe part circles. Especially kind of my newer classes, the younger freshmen, really want them separated to kind of feel strength in numbers when they do that. But you can do it mixed. And if your kids think they're awesome and they're like, man, we're amazing, get them mixed and then tell them to start to read. And let's see how awesome you really are when you're sitting next to other people. You know, you want to be cocky, you got to prove it, right? You know, so that's a thing. In this, yeah, you can break this down. So here, actually, I'll just show you because it'll be cooler for me to show you this way. So we're on Sight Reading Factory here, and now we're gonna go. Let's check how easy this is. By the way, do you see how it saved? Sight Reading Factory saved my favorites so that I already did rhythm only. I did soprano. Earlier I was in like choir multi-part, but if you want to have SAB choir or something, so it kind of saves your favorites. I love that. But I'll check this out. I'll show you kind of how it's going here. So we want choir, not unison, multi-part. Let's do level 2 for a sec. We're going to add, let's say we are dealing with just my regular kind of concert choir. Okay, so I got 4 voices there. That's it. We'll do whatever this you want. If you're working on a piece, by the way, let's say you're working on a piece that is in cut time and you want to just sight read simple stuff in cut time. Let's say that. I mean, like, you know, let's try it, right? Okay, free play. Here you go. And you can even say, you know, cut time, but we're going to go back to level 1. So you see how quickly I changed that there. And then like, okay, kids, here's your warm up for today. You're going to sing in cut time. Here's a half note. 1, 2, 1 and 2. Sol, fa, mi, etc. Right? And you can just have them speak in rhythm just to kind of get the idea of cut time. I don't like sight singing cut time, so I'm just saying like that's a cool pedagogical strategy that you could have if you really desired that, right? Let's go back to something kind of more common, and let's go back to our level to make it different. Cool. So this is a lot. Whenever we do 8 measures, it's a lot on your screen. I usually, a lot of times if I'm projecting on the screen, do 4 parts just because it's a little easier to read and a little easier for me to project. I like to give do, but that's kind of actually weird. So usually when I'm doing ensemble stuff, I don't click this button. I will just play do, have every kid sing do, and then find their parts from there. And you'll see me in a video in a little bit with my class do that. Okay, so you can see how beautifully the parts are. Very clean, very easy to read. We can say tenors do this alone. We can say... yeah, I could break it down. So, you know, like we're going to do this 3 times. Soprano, alto alone, tenor, bass alone, then all of us, right? And here's something I'm sure you all teach, but this is a super easy way to teach it. Let's take the strategy that I just did. We're going to do this example 3 times and 3 times only, kids. Here we go. Soprano, alto is time number 1. Tenor, bass is time number 2. And all of us are time number 3. Now, here's the problem. If you are a tenor bass, you only get 2 of the 3 times, right? So what are you doing the 3rd time? What are you doing that in your downtime? What can you listen for? What can you do? You know, and kids will start to say, oh, look, all the rhythms are the same. Everybody has a rest at measure 3. Oh, we all cut off on, you know, beat 1 of at the very end. Oh my goodness, look at that. You mean, kids, that when you're not singing, you can still be listening and actively helping the choir and kind of looking at your score? Who would have thought, right? And you can teach that concept through this right away, which is fantastic. And I do that all the time. I prep my kids for what's going to go on in rehearsal through a simple thing through Sight Reading Factory. And I love it, right? So you can kind of see the potential for how cool this is. And your different choirs, let's say you have SATB, which is kind of cool. You can go choir, multi-part, voices. Yeah, you know, it's like, hey, I don't have, you know, there's a field trip today and half of my boys are out. Awesome sauce. We're going to do this. right? And now all of a sudden you don't have to find new examples. Voila, there you go, right? Isn't that cool? I've used that a decent amount. Okay, so I'm going to stop this, going to go back here to our regular slide. Next slide, please. Or actually, I can do next slide, sorry. So here's something I haven't talked about yet. Custom levels, super cool, right? You can tailor this to your unique level. You can use it for practice modes and on assigned quizzes. You'll see some of the things I'll show you in a second, but you can select the rhythms that you want. You can select if you want accents. I'll show you something cool that we just did like just the other day in class because we're working on this. We're working on this piece, Daniel, Servant of the Lord by Undine Smith Moore, and it has a ton of accents. And so in Sight Reading Factory, I clicked the accent thing, and and that's what we worked on accents to prep my kids for working on accents in the score. It was like a subtle little way to say, yeah, these things are important. Aaron,
we've got another question in the chat.
All right. Yeah, class setup layout. How do you view your concert, your students? What would this look like from the student's view? Solid. Let's do it. All right. Let me present this. Okay, so this is my class. I've got 3 classes kind of currently that are doing this. I have... I wonder here. So we'll go into, here's concert choir. We'll just kind of go into this one. You can see, like, I can click grade book and I can see all the quizzes that my students have had. I can go and let's see, let's choose, I don't know, Megan here. And we can, like, she did quiz number 2. Okay, I'm opening quiz number 2. I'll tell you what, actually, I'll back up in a second, but like, do you see how easy that was? Then I can grade them. All right, awesome. Megan, I can listen to her. So hopefully she did well. Yeah, good. So there you go. Megan did it and she only did 1 attempt. Yay, good for her. Oh, wait, did you not hear that? You didn't see that, did you? Interesting. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Let me do this because I got to pop that out. I'm going to stop sharing this. Let me see if I can present this. Yeah, so this is what hopefully you may have heard that, but this is what you should see now. When you clicked on that other little thing, this is a kid's work, right? So as a teacher, this is what I see when the kid submits their assignment. Yeah, I'll stop it and start it from the beginning. So you can hear it in the background.
Do, do, re, do, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, fa, mi.
Now, here's a nice thing too. Do you see how I could click on that note and see if she was actually in tune? I love that. That's cool to check. I don't really test tuning a ton when I'm doing sight reading, but it is nice to know, like, are they on do, right? So that is that. Let me go back here. I want to keep showing you, Aaron, the setup, though, because that is something, that's a really good question. Thanks for asking that. Let's see this. Okay, so here's a classroom, right? That you can kind of see. Let me walk you through how I assign it. So I will create a task. This is in MusicFirst Classroom, super intuitive. Yay, there's my task. I give a tool and I want Sight Reading Factory. Now, I give a description. I'll show you in a second what my description is, but it's, I have to give a, let's say I give a date here, and I want to add this to gradebook, 100%, yay, or out of 100 points. I create my task, super simple. Aaron, is this what you want? Hope, you know, type in the chat yes or no and any clarification questions so I can make sure I do that. So Now I open that in Sight Reading Factory. I need to show you what it opened because it popped into a new tab. So I'm going to show you, this is what it did. And I can allow unlimited attempts, a max number of attempts by doing this. Super cool. I can let the kid choose. We can do rhythm only, or they can choose a voice. I teach them what to choose. Like, they're not choosing piano, but they have to be taught, like, don't choose piano, choose bass voice or soprano voice. These are the custom built-in levels, or in a little bit, I'll show you how to create a custom level, but that is, I could choose that level if I want. So like, for example, that sight reading that you saw Megan do, I think that was in there. I choose the key signature. Usually it'll be just something super easy and basic, because I don't really care that they are what the key signature is. I usually don't let them choose the time signature. If I did, every kid would choose 2/4. Why? It's half the note says 4/4. Haha, they're smart. All right. I usually do 8 measures. I always keep my sight singing at 65, and I do 2 minutes. The countdown length is 2 minutes. Metronome, I do not subdivide. Cursor style moves on each beat. I'll tell you why. And you can play around with these. What do you like? What don't you like? Here's the super cool thing. I can say solfege, yes or no. But here, I want them to have solfege, and usually measure numbers. And then I attach the assignment, boom, right there. And then, oh, here's the greatest thing in the history of the world. If you have Remind or JW Pepper Cut Time, we use Google Classroom. With the click of a button.
I think you need to share it again.
Oh, I need to share. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Because it clicks into tabs. So let me kind of go into this. Thank you, Rachel. Can you guys see this now? Awesome. So I can share this in Google Classroom, and I can push this assignment out to all of my students. So this would be in my concert choir class. So I just choose concert choir, and then I would share. That's how easy it is. Then on the back end, I get, like, here's sight reading quiz number 4. We just did this. And then I can, as I click into it, I can see, who has done it, who hasn't, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. I'm going to stop that. Aaron, was that helpful? Hopefully it was. Okay, cool. We're going to do, yeah. So here's some other pictures of custom levels. You can, if you just want to work on, like, let's say, for you choir director nerdy people, there is a song called Daemon I Repit Kalidus. It's a very famous piece, and it's by Yorgi Orban, and it is all chromatic based. It's so much chromaticism. You could set, if you want to do sight reading chromatically, like just based on these couple of things, you could do that. Or let's say you're doing a Copeland piece that has a lot of fifths in it. So you could say, I want to, like, have a lot of, like, leaps of a fifth or something like that. You can customize these things to help you out. You can add dynamics or ties. You can eliminate syncopated rhythms or not, right? So what I love about that is, again, you can customize this to your own type of thing. Let's see. Would it be helpful for me to show you that? I think it would. So I'm going to do this. We're going to go free play sight reading factory. So let's go to this thing. Let's add a level, right? So here's a custom level. I did this, but I want to input a new level. Here is our new level. Here's our rhythm attributes. I really want to work on the dotted quarter and eighth rhythm, right? And I really want to only do this, right? It's kind of whatever you want. You know what? I really don't want to deal with dynamics for this one. And instruments, I'm just going to do treble clef, one voice. You know what? We're going to work on limited ranges right now. Super chill, right? And max leaps, selects no leaps greater than a third. All right. And then when we do sight reading, we can start practicing. We can do choir. Let's do choir 3-part. And select a level, or no, I had to do that for soprano. Maybe I can select a level. Yeah, see, here's my custom level that I made. Awesome. Select a time signature 4/4 and C major. And now it should bring me to no leaps more than a third. Look at this. Super cool. Love it. All right. So, and you can customize, you can play around with that and toy around with it. So again, the customization of the level, one of the best features of Sight Reading Factory that I am, the possibilities are endless. Okay, let's get to a couple of things. Let's do this next guy here. Free play is the mode that I do all the time. I don't have my students do challenge mode. That's for your like most advanced readers, and I think that might be like a whole nother like level. You can obviously toy around with the challenge mode, but it definitely is a little trickier. I will show you a video of the live session later and kind of tell you the difference, like what my students like and what the benefits of it between free play and live. Free play is basically you present everything up to the screen and the kids read everything off the screen. Live, they have their Chromebooks and they join a sight reading exercise. And then they have their individual vocal line, only their line. So all the basses have their line. They say, I'm a bass, and it only gets the bass line projected to them. And all the sopranos get the soprano line projected to them. And so there's some pluses and minuses there. Let's do this so you can kind of see. This is what my classroom looks like. And this is like live mode. So kids are there. We're just projecting stuff on the board, and I'm teaching, and it's really easy and right there. See how I'm only doing a few measures at a time? I think this might have 8 measures, but usually it's only 4 or maybe 8 because that's all the kids can see, right? But then we do a ton of them. Let's get to this video. Here, let's start at the beginning. So, yeah, here's one video. This is a live practice session. So watch it, and then I'll kind of explain it afterwards. This is only the 3rd attempt on this one. 1 and 2 and ready and. Cut off on? 4. Oh, you say it so enthusiastically. Yeah. All right. So a simple thing where they have a easy example. I always talk about cutoffs. I, kind of prep them in. Right now I'm snapping, but a lot of times I'll go, right? And I'll conduct them to prep how I conduct, right? And what that feels like in a breath and everything. And then go. So it's just a very easy thing. Can we throw the next video up there? All right, this is the final. Yeah, so this is the final. We did a sight reading activity the other day, and this is the first time they did it, just to kind of see what it is, again, how it sounds like. All right, this is the final one that we're going to do today. Have you seen this before? No. All right, there we go. You know your do. Sing do. Do. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Do, so, do, cut off on 1. Awesome, thanks. All right, yay. And again, I'm not assessing tuning on there because that was a little rough, but it's really important to be able to, this is like 3 minutes after class started or 10 minutes after class started, and we'll do sight reading and then a warm up. But it's important to be able to do this every day, and it's super simple, and that's why I love it. I can load it up, 10 minutes and then go. It's not a ton of work, right? And, a sight reading exercise a day keeps the doctor away. We all know that phrase. It's very common, right? So like, this is just what we do, right? Awesome. That was that was live play mode. I want to show you a video now of no, that was of, wait, hold on. That was free play mode. Sorry, that was free play mode where we're all looking at the screen. This next video, I'm going to show you, all the kids are going to be staring at their Chromebooks, except one who really didn't listen and kind of was looking at the screen anyway. My students love love free play mode a lot more than live mode. They don't like this, and it was for a super fascinating reason, but I actually think it makes them stronger sight readers, so I like to do this occasionally. But you can see now, this is a different day, but you can see what they do. So here we go. So this is their
How are you
time.
using your time efficiently?
So I give them like 20 or 30 seconds of practice time. You can or not, doesn't matter.
All right, here it is again. Please stop. First chord and 1, 2, 3. Cut off on? 1 or what? 1. Oh, there we go. All right, thanks.
Okay, so that my students don't like that because they actually like looking at what a choral score looks like, where they see all the parts. They were kind of freaked out when they only saw one. And here's what a couple of pretty astute and honest music readers said. They said, if I'm only looking at my line and not the whole thing, I can't tell if I get off, I can't tell how to get back on. But if I'm looking at everybody's line and I see that the basses are here and they're doing something else, I know how to get back on. And I was like, that's actually really smart. So you could, maybe your students would feel a different way. Maybe you could do one day one and one day the other. But Sight Reading Factory gives you the option to do that. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. All right, we are moving on this. Let's go to assessment, what assessment looks like. So formative assessments in class as a group, just like very, and I say formative, meaning I'm not really taking huge grades for these. It's assessment for learning. It's not like the big summatives or the big things where it really counts. These are just like the daily small things. In partners, this is a really fun thing to do if you have like a chill Friday or, just a time when you have a field trip. This happens all the time. Hey, we're having the AP art field trip, which knocks out a quarter of my class or something like that. So rehearsal isn't a huge option. So let's do some sight reading. Pair up, go all the way around the room, maybe in some if you got some hallway space, and you and your partner can sing this example. You guys do it together. You try to do it together because there's safety in numbers. And then I would go around and then kind of just informally assess them. How are you doing? What's going on, right? So kind of a chill way to get better. Because they can do it in their Chromebooks, or in sections, like have a contest. All right, basses, we're going to do this one. Who was better? Were the tenors better? And, kind of make a contest of it, right? Let's see if I have a weekly assignment through MusicFirst Classroom that I want to share with you. I'm going to show you this sequence if I can. I'm going to share this with you. So here's my sequence. I give 5 quizzes per semester, and you can see like level 2, level 3 with solfege, any key, et cetera, et cetera. These are the directions I give, and I have found this to be really, really helpful. If you get, well, you're going to love Sight Reading Factory if you don't know it already, but here's something else. I've been teaching for 21 years. Grading sight reading is really difficult. It takes a ton of time, and do you grade for tuning? Do you grade for minor pitch errors? Are you super fussy? Are you not? It's messy. Here's what I have chosen to do over the last like 6 years, and this has made all the difference in the world to me. So hopefully you like this. I give students 4 grades, 175, 50, or 25. If they have 100%, they have either performed the exercise with 5 or less mistakes, or they have tried it 15 times. They have tried 15 different examples. Each example takes a minimum of 2 minutes to try. So they have spent either they could do it perfectly in under 5 attempts, or they have spent around 30 minutes practicing sight reading. And if they have done that and 15 attempts, they get 100% no matter how bad they are. So I want to share, and then there's 75, 50, and 25 with this little rubric. I want to share with you kind of what that looks like in the MusicFirst classroom. Let's go to this. Let us go to quiz number 3. I know it's going to maybe pop up here in a second. I'll have to get it out. But let's take this guy. He is a hard-working kid. I'm going to, here, hold on a second. This Adam is a really hard-working kid, but sight reading, pretty tricky for him. Okay? Adam did this 20 times, but I want you to listen to this for a second. Here's Do.
Do, re, mi, re, do. Ti, do, mi, so, la, so, mi, re.
Right. Now, check that out. Adam is really following along. Adam is getting some sort of contour. He's getting rhythmics. He's getting rests. He's getting the dotted rhythm. But he is off on pitch on a number of different notes. So do I completely fail this kid? Well, no. If he's a brand new music reader, if this is really hard for him, he's worked 20 times at 2 minutes a pop to try to do that. And I want to reward him for that. So Sight Reading Factory can tell me how many attempts they have. And with my rubric, Adam can get an A, right? And that to me has made a ton of difference, because then kids don't hate sight reading. They view it as a formative tool in order to get better, and not this punitive thing. And they have a growth mindset from it instead of a fixed mindset. And that is key. So I hope you guys take that away. Let's throw that slide back up, and showed you my sequence. We have assignments, like I just showed you. We can have, if you don't want to give assignments that clearly, but you can do like Sight Reading Factory Friday. So the rest of the class can watch a movie, and you can pull kids into the hallway or a practice room. Put up your Chromebook, have them do that and practice and sing right in front of you, if that's something you want. You can have a fishbowl. You can say, all right, now this is for the bold of you, but I have done this, especially in my advanced choir, where sight reading is a big thing. All right, we are getting 1 volunteer from each section as tribute from, what is it? What was that? Hunger Games. They can go as volunteers tribute for their section, right? And then I put a 4-part sight reading up, and they do 4-part sight reading in front of the whole class, right? That's something that you can do too, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of play around it. And then I give them, candy if they do it well. Because, never underestimate the motivating power of sugar, right? Okay, so I've gone through a lot. I have included links in this presentation. So when you get the link, you can click through. Every single sequence is active, or every single link is active, so you can kind of see all my sight reading tips and stuff like that. But I've kind of reached the end of my, formal presentation. If there's any other questions, man, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I hope this has been good. So thanks, everybody.
Jeremy, thank you so much. This was wonderful and super informative. I'm going to go ahead and give a last call for any questions if anybody has them. For those of you who are attending, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat. But if we've got nothing else, that's all we've got for tonight. So for a free 30-day trial of Sight Reading Factory, you can visit musicfirst.com/free-trial. Oh, yeah, we'll share the Google Doc again. And if you want more content like this, you can visit musicfirst.com/events for a list of our upcoming both in-person and virtual events. So thank you all so much and have a great rest of your week.